Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Real quick, do me a favor, press 5 in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. I don't have my headphones. I have no idea where it's at. I'm currently on the road right now, and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, at the We Buy Black convention. If you are in the area, please swing by, come through. We'll be out at the Cobb Galleria from 9, which is like in an hour and a half. So I'll probably be a little late. But we will be out there from 9 till about, I believe 9 at night. So if you're in the area, stop by, come chop it up with us. We're talking about, you have over 100 black-owned businesses that are going to be out there putting in that work, pretty much circulating the money back into the community and helping progress the community. So if you're in the area, swing by, come chop it up with us. Health by any means necessary will be at booth number 5. We'll be at booth number 5. The other coaches will be there. Tiffany Davis, Kathleen Richardson from Beauty and the Barbell, and Tiffany Davis from Feed Your Inner Chef. We'll all be out there, and come meet us, all right? Come meet us. So been doing a lot of talking. So much so till I had to really figure out how to conserve my voice. I mean, because it got to a point where I felt like I was losing my voice a little bit. I kept telling people, I was talking and smiling so much that my cheeks started to kind of burn, feel fatigue. So it's funny, but I really enjoy talking to the people, getting out there, shaking hands, hugging, really embracing and feeling the energy that everybody was bringing out there. I mean, love it. So just doing a lot of talking about health, about our community, really dispelling those myths, breaking the actual physiology down, making people understand the actual science of what we call disease, medical conditions, also what we consider to be things that just run in our family. And one of the things that I've been really talking about a lot, and I'm going to continue to even go even harder in the next coming up weeks, is fasting. And, much of the advice we've been given as it pertains to food in general does not work towards the enhancement of our health. This would be anything such as the eating frequently. Eat every 2 to 3 hours. Eat 6 small meals a day. This way you can lose weight. So I mean, just on a surface level, eating more so I can lose weight doesn't sound like it's going to be the best strategy for me. If that's my goal, it doesn't sound like it's going to work out. This whole idea that you should eat every 2 to 3 hours so that you can rev up your metabolism. Are you a vehicle? Are you a car? Are you a motorcycle? No, you're not. Why do you have to manually rev up your metabolic system? So if you really push people into a corner and make them explain what that means, they won't be able to do it. And if they try to do it, they'll just throw out vague things. Oh, you need to rev up your metabolism. That way you can burn more fuel. You can do X, Y, Z. Yo, is that Biv? What's going on, bro? So you can do X, Y, Z. But if you really make them explain it, why do I need to rev up my metabolism? Why is my metabolism not already revving up? And what do you mean by revving up? And what do you mean that if I eat food, I'll increase my metabolic rate so that I can break down and burn energy? But I just took in energy, and now you're telling me the purpose of me taking in that energy is so I can now burn more energy. But if I didn't take in that additional energy at that time, I wouldn't need to burn excess energy. And so we're completely ignoring the economics of the actual body itself. Supply and demand. Your body's not even demanding a lot of the supply that we're constantly bringing in all the time. And so that's one of the first things. And, like I said, there's no science whatsoever behind that whole idea of eating every 2 to 3 hours, 6 small meals a day so that you can lose weight, so that you can rev up your metabolism. There's no science behind those things at all. Especially when we start to look at the effects of health. When we start looking at the effects that this frequent eating is having on our health, we have to understand that the digestion and assimilation process is extremely metabolically taxing on the body. And what I mean by that is it takes a lot of work to actually break down food. It takes a lot of work to actually take that food and appropriate it to the places that it needs to be. It takes a lot of work to actually take and break down that food so that your body can actually excrete it. What's going on, Brent? That's the mayor of something right there. It takes a lot of work to actually break down that food and excrete it out your body via the digestive system, the colon, or via the actual kidney system, your renal system. And your body is constantly focusing on that. And so a lot of people can understand this, especially busy parents, especially, especially if you're a single parent and you're busy and you have kids and you have goals that you want to accomplish, but you feel like you're not able to really accomplish those goals right now because you're so busy. You're busy with work, you're busy with the kids, you're busy with doing things in the house, you're busy taking care of so many other stuff that you never have time to actually improve and optimize your mindset, improve and optimize everything else you have going on. You don't have time for actual vacation. You don't have time to actually read. You don't have time to actually pour into yourself things that will help you express the higher version of yourself. So when you are just doing those things, as far as like just the cleaning, when you're just constantly cleaning and taking care of everybody else, but you're not pouring into yourself, yes, that's good for everybody else, but it's not going to be the best for you because you're not able to express that higher version of yourself. You're not able to actually tap into that potential of all the other, that whole other aspect of you, because you're so overwhelmed and you're so overworked with everything else. And so you're not really having that balance of pouring into yourself as well as pouring into other people. You're just pouring your energy into everybody else. And it's the same thing with your body. You're on a physiological level. When you're constantly taking in food, your body's constantly breaking it down and assimilating it, breaking it down, and then excreting it. And then an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, and here we go. We're doing it again. And everything, 2 hours goes by, 3 hours goes by, here we go. We're doing it again. We need to understand that there is actually a phase that happens after the digestion. After your body breaks down food and properly assimilates it, and it goes through that process, when everything is said and done, the body is now ready to go into what they call a catabolic stage. This is when your body's ready to actually start cleaning. So when your body is actually no longer breaking down food, it starts to clean itself. And this takes place when we're looking at 6+ hours of not eating. So your body's actually cleaning itself. This would be likened to something like a spring cleaning. A lot of times, we wait till like a certain time of the year to really do a good cleaning on our house, or a good cleaning on, whatever it is. And for humans, because we eat so frequently, we eat so much every single day, we never have time for that cleaning to actually take place. Now, when we get between the hours of 6 hours, the body is doing its basic cleaning, but at the same time, it's still waiting just in case you're about to eat. But when we start pushing it to 12 hours, this is when we go into a whole different shift. We go into a whole different phase, because now we're talking about cellular cleaning. We're talking about detox. A lot of people talk about detoxification as pertains to like taking in things like, I got to do this, I have to drink that, I have to do this and that. You got to understand, nothing can detox your body better than a fast. Like, fasting is the best detox you can do. And fasting is your body's natural way of detoxing. You have a liver. Your liver takes care of the detoxing. Your kidney, your colon. You have organs in your body that are specifically designed to actually detox. Our problem is that we're not giving it time. We're constantly putting in food. And so if you're constantly putting in food, you don't have that time for that detox. Just like I told you with the busy parent who's a single parent, who has kids, who's trying to help out everybody else, and they're not helping themselves. You don't have time to optimize yourself because you're so busy pouring into everybody else that you're not taking a break, you're not relaxing, you're not reading, you're not doing any of those things. You're not tapping into that other side of you that has that infinite potential. And it's the same thing with your body. When you start talking about fasting for 14 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours, you're talking about going through a process called autophagy. Autophagy, what's going on, Dion? Autophagy is a process, pretty much, if you look at the word autophagy, this is self-eating. So pretty much your body is breaking down cells that need to be destroyed. They need to be destroyed, and new cells need to be regenerated, renewed. And your body's going through and it's looking around and it's saying, all right, we need to go ahead and break this cell down because it has met its maturation, and we need to go ahead and build new cells. And so many of us are operating off of cells that are degenerated, that need to actually be broken down and renewed, or are broken down and another cell be rebuilt. But when you're never giving your body that time to actually optimize, then it's never going to happen. And we're going to feel sluggish, we're going to have headaches, we're going to feel slow, fatigue. We're going to feel like we just can't really get to where we want to be with our bodies, with our physiology, with our overall well-being. Just like that parent who's doing so much. But when that parent takes a break and it says, all right, time out. I need some me time. It's the same thing with your body. Your body needs some me time. And that's what fasting is. Fasting is me time for the body. But the problem is we've been indoctrinated. We've been made to believe that we should eat every 2 to 3 hours. We should eat 6 small meals. And if you really think about it, when we look at the day and we look at how many meals we're eating, and we're looking at the fact that we're constantly being forced to think about food or what you can eat at this time. All right, how much calories you're going to eat? How much grams of XYZ? How many carbs? How many protein? How much is going to weigh? How are you going to do this? And so you start to look at life and your day, and if you really think about it, many of our lives are really centered around food. If it's centered around food, this sounds like it might be a little bit of idol worship, as far as food being the centerpiece of a lot of our lives. Once again, this is not even a natural process. This is not something that, if we were left to our own vices, that's not something that would happen. The reason why this is happening is because food has been made so convenient. You can now go drive it to a window and grab it. But also you have all these food stimulants, whether it be TV, commercials. You have these set times of a day that society has set times of the day to make it socially acceptable for you to eat. So you got the breakfast, 7 o'clock in the day. They tell you to eat a snack at 10 o'clock. They tell you to eat lunch at noon. They tell you to have something at 3 o'clock. And then you got something at 6 o'clock. And then you got a nighttime snack. And so at what time in the day does your body have time to actually optimize itself? What time in the day does your body have time to actually go through and clean itself and detoxify? It doesn't. It's busy. Your body's constantly busy breaking down the food, so much so to the point where it has to actually just store a lot of these toxins, because it's never really able to actually break down and optimize itself, and it's never really able to really tap into that infinite potential that your body has, which is fasting. Fasting brings out a whole nother side of yourself that you never knew. I mean, when I get people to start fasting, one of the first things they see, they'll see that weight loss, and that's cool, and that's fine. I understand people want that, but the part that I love to hear about is people start talking about that mental clarity. It's like, I just feel clear, I just feel sharp, I feel like I can read things and actually understand it and retain it. That's because your body's having a chance to actually detoxify. You got to understand, when you have heightened levels of toxins in your body from the foods, from the sodas, from the drinks, your body's doing what it can to try to get rid of it. But many times you're blocked up as far as in your colon, you're blocked up as far as in your kidneys. And so a lot of these toxins is just remaining in your bloodstream. A lot of these toxins are just getting stored in certain cells. And your body's waiting for that fasting period to be like, all right, no food's coming in. It's been 8 hours. Let's go ahead and start cleaning this up. Let's go ahead and start getting all this stuff out. We don't give it that time, because the moment your body's like, all right, let's go ahead and start. Here you go. He just ate a burger. Time out. Don't clean up. Wait. We got more food coming in. Let's go ahead and break this down. You go over there. You go ahead and increase the inflammation. You go over there. You stop the peristalsis. And so your body has to call these shots and pretty much call off everything. And this is happening every 3 hours. This is happening 6 times a day. The only saving grace a lot of us really have when it comes to that fasting, that breakdown period, is when we are asleep. When we're asleep. And so, but you also have people who wake up in the middle of the night to actually eat as well too. But you have that period at night when your body is asleep and your body's like looking around. All right, let's try to do what we can do right now, because I know as soon as they wake up in the morning, I know the first thing they're gonna do is eat a bagel. The first thing they're gonna do is eat some kind of like granola or some kind of cereal. So let's go ahead and do what we can do right now to keep us maintenance, basic level. Once again, that's that busy parent that has everything going on, and the only me time they have is sleep, and they barely have that. They barely have that because the kids are going to jump into bed. The kids are probably crying. The kids are probably doing X, Y, Z. You think you hear somebody at the door. And so you're at a bare minimum level of relaxation. And that's not really relaxation. So when this busy parent is actually able to take a break, relax, get away, go to the salon, go to the spa, read a book, sit out in the sun, relax, several days, what happens? They say, I feel like a new person. It's the same thing with your body. When we actually get away, when we actually stop all of the food and we give our body time to relax and renew itself, people start to say, yo, I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling like I got the juice right now. Like I feel like I'm doing it right now. I feel clear. I can think. And it's because your body had a chance to actually optimize itself. Your body had a chance to actually clean itself. And so I really need us to think about this idea of this idea that we have to eat so frequently. This idea that we have to measure our food. This idea that we have to count calories. This idea that we have to eat every 2 to 3 hours. This idea that we have to manually rev up our system. This idea that we have to manually take in something to detox. All these ideas center around some type of food or some type of product that needs to be purchased. And when you look at where this information is coming from, it's coming from the food industry. It's coming from the food industry. They have you believing that breakfast is something that takes place in the morning. They have you believing that breakfast is the most important part of the meal of the day. But let's look at the word breakfast. Break apart the word breakfast and you have break, fast. Breakfast is simply the process of breaking your fast. So if you're sleeping at night and you're not eating, that is fasting. And so the moment that you actually take in a food item, that is considered breaking your fast, because you're no longer fasting and your body has just shift from catabolic, which is the breakdown process, to anabolic, which is the build-up process. Now your body has to actually assimilate these things that you're taking in. And so you're no longer fasting. But understand this. Breakfast is not something that has to necessarily take place first thing in the morning. Breakfast takes place anytime during the day, because the moment you eat, you are breaking your fast. But they have us believing that breakfast takes place 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, just sometime in the morning. And they tell you that breakfast is the most important part of the meal of the day. That's true. I say that all your meals are the most important meal. But yeah, definitely when you're fasting, your first meal is going to be extremely important. But your first meal doesn't have to come in the morning. If many of us were to actually check in with our physiology, check in with ourselves, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself this question. Before I eat this bowl of cereal, this bowl of oatmeal, this bowl of whatever it is, am I hungry? Do I really feel hungry? Or am I just eating because I've been trained to eat first thing in the morning? When most people ask themselves that question, 80% of people are going to be like, I'm not even hungry. They tell you that you need to eat in the morning so you can have fuel for the day. Where they get that at? You telling me my body is designed in such a weak way that if I don't constantly have food in the morning, I won't be ready for the day? Where you get that from? Who's giving us this information? Because that's what we need to do. We need to actually follow the paper trail, and the paper trail is going to lead us back to Kellogg's. It's going to lead us back to Nabisco. It's going to lead us back to all of these food giants that have subtly given this information to individuals, who've given it to companies, who's given it to other organizations that have spread it down into the community, just so they can make sure they sell their products, so they can secure the bag every single day. And we're doing this every single day. Your body does not have to jumpstart itself first thing in the morning. Understand that your body's already doing that for you based on your circadian rhythm, Everybody has an internal clock. Everybody has an internal clock that is personalized to you. It's called a circadian rhythm. Between the hours of 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, your body starts to slowly secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine. The reason why your body is doing this is because this is what's going to give you that jolt of energy in the morning. And if you're not feeling that jolt of energy in the morning, that's telling me that you need to fast. That's telling me that you need to get out a lot of the toxins that you already have in your body. Because once again, if you're not excreting the toxins, where do you think it's going? Where do you think the toxins are at? They're in your body. And so until you're able to actually excrete those toxins, you're going to continue to feel that fatigue, that lethargy, that mental fogginess, the headaches, all the feelings that come along with just built up toxins. You're going to continue to feel that. And so until you actually give the body time to actually be free, relax itself, optimize, clean up, you're not going to be able to feel what I'm talking about as far as the circadian rhythm. So the circadian rhythm is something that's personalized to everybody. Between the hours of 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, actually they say between 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning, you're going to start to secrete epinephrine, norepinephrine. Those are going to be designed to actually give you that energy that you need. It's also going to suppress appetite. So people really think about if they really feel hungry in the morning. Most people tell you, no, I don't really feel hungry in the morning. So if you don't feel hungry in the morning, why are you eating? Once again, let's go back to economics. Basic supply and demand. If I'm not demanding it, but you supplying it, what am I going to do with it? We call it a surplus. What am I going to do with the surplus now? I'm going to have to store it. Many of us, if we thought about our goals is not to really store food. If we thought about our goals, we would actually understand that we have enough storage already. Especially if you're trying to work on decreasing your body fat. If you're working on those things, then you will understand that our body fat is just storage. It's reserves. And so at what point are you really tapping into those reserves if you're constantly eating? And so what has happened is a very subtle, seductive, pretty much we're worshiping food because we have turned around and centered our life on food. And now when I'm talking to people, like I said, I've been talking to people all weekend. I'm going to be doing it all day today. I enjoy it. I love it. I love getting out there and just embracing the people. Like I said, man, this has been a very special event for me, special moment, man. I love what I'm feeling. I love what I'm seeing, and I just love speaking to them and making sure that they get the information. But lots of people are, they're not open to fasting. A lot of people are not open to fasting. You know, like, I'm like, yeah. So, you know, this is what I recommend. I'm a huge proponent of fasting. Fasting is my gospel. Fasting. Like, don't eat. I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much, you know, this is just pretty much listening to your body. I gotta eat. I gotta have my food. I want you to think about this. Anything you can't fast from, you are a slave to. Because we now have to figure out who is in control in this relationship. Is it you or is it the food? We have to think about that. Whether we're talking about alcohol, drugs, smoking, any type of addiction, if you're not able to fast from it, you are a slave to it. It controls you. You don't control it. If the mere thought of breaking away from food makes you do like this, that is a sign that that food in general has control over you. It's supposed to be the other way around. Our lives are not supposed to be centered around food. We are supposed to put food in its place. Right now, food is putting us in their place, in our place. Food is controlling us. So much so, today really have you talking about food as calories, carbohydrates, protein. They really have us talking about food as far as, you know, eating 2 to 3 hours. They really have us talking about food about weighing it. So our lives has been centered around food so much till if we really thought about what is considered to be idol worship, I would say that we have turned food into something that we actually worship. And this has been a process that's been very subtle and seductive to the point where we don't even really see it. But if we were to really think about it, why am I constantly thinking about food? Do I really need this much food all the time, multiple times a day? Who is in control here? Where's this information coming from? Is it coming from the same medical and health industry that has shown me time after time that they are not a friend of me and my people? Is this the same medical industry and healthcare institutions that allowed a Tuskegee syphilis experiment to take place for 40 years? Is this the same medical institution that stood back and watched what happened with Henrietta Lacks? And now I am allowing them to dictate what I should be eating, how often I should be eating? You really think that's going to work out well for us when we look at our community and we see the health conditions that we are dealing with? Do you think our problem is that we don't eat enough? Because that's what they're telling you. Oh, you got to eat more. You got to eat more. What? Why? I don't think my problem is eating more. I don't think my problem is that I eat too little. We are not dealing with the problems we have because we eat too little. We're dealing with the problems that we have because of two parts of that food thing. Because of the food types, but also because of the food frequency. We're taking an extreme amount of food multiple times a day, every single day. And this food is not even healthy for us. So my gospel is fasting. If the community started to fast, make fasting back a part of their life, and I need people to understand, fasting nothing new. If you go look at my video, if you go look at my Facebook, my timeline on health by any means necessary, I have a video called Fasting. We've been new. If I'm talking about fasting is one of the basic principles of traditional African lifestyle. There was no time in history that we just ate throughout the day. It doesn't make sense. Fasting was one of the first things that they would actually make people do if anybody was suffering from any type of ailment. You need to fast. And you have you also have inscriptions on the pyramids, on the walls, where they talk about to actually eat while you're sick is to feed sickness. So we have to really look at this relationship between us and food and figure out who's in control here. Is this really a mutually beneficial relationship? Or is this a sacrifice parasite relationship where we are the sacrifice as a community and the parasites are the actual food industries in conjunction with the medical industry, in conjunction with the actual pharmaceutical industry? Because they can talk all this game about you need to make sure you go get your flu shot, you need to make sure you go get this, and cool, y'all, do what you do, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But don't be so tough and aggressive on this side, but when it comes to the food, you silent. You got nothing to say about that. You can't tell anybody about a smoothie. You can't tell anybody about a push-up. You can't tell anybody, but you gotta get that shot. You gotta take your medication. You gotta do this. But what should I be eating? You need to eat frequent. You need to eat often. You need to do those things, but you need to make sure you get these medications and injections. You can see the hustle in that. People who understand the hustle, you can see the hustle in that. You're so aggressive on one side, but so quiet on the other side. So just take a look at that. And like I said, fasting is one of the basic African principles as far as health goes. And it's something that we have completely letting go as a community, and we need to get back into. I know for a fact, people don't understand how powerful fasting is for the body. If you took all of the medications in the world and you were to put them into one capsule, one pill, it would not stand up. It wouldn't even stand close to what fasting can do for the body. Do me a favor. Look up autophagy. Look up hormesis. Just a simple Google search. If you are diabetic, look up diabetes and fasting. Why are these people telling you that these are chronic and progressive conditions when I can show you, and not only me, multiple doctors can show you. There's not much, but you have doctors out there that can show you, as well as my own patients. I can show you where I have taken people who have a 10.9 A1C and brought them back down to a 5.6 A1C. How do we do that? With fasting. Whoa, wait a minute. This sounds like spookism. It ain't spookism. It's physiology. We eat entirely too much. If your blood sugar is high and you're telling them eat every 2 to 3 hours, 6 times a day to actually keep your blood sugar regulated, well, at what point am I going to be able to actually utilize the blood sugar in my bloodstream if I'm constantly bringing in blood sugar and putting it into my bloodstream, so much so to my cells are filled with actual glucose, so much so to what I have a surplus of blood sugar to now have to actually convert that blood sugar into fat and ship it out to my fat cells. At what point do I get to use this? You don't. If you're doing it the medical conventional way, you don't get to use it at all. That blood sugar is just going to have to build up in your bloodstream. Your pancreas is going to have to secrete more insulin. It's going to get to the point where your insulin is going to have to convert that glucose to fat and ship it off to your fat cells, because your cells, your actual cells itself only has so much capacity for sugar, glucose. It only has so much capacity. And when that capacity has met its maturation, that glucose has to be now turned into fat, because fat, we can take it all day. You have unlimited supply of fat cells to be able to take on whatever you can throw at it. But if we thought about it, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. We want to actually give the body time to utilize what we already have. It's called storage. It's called reserve. And so this is how type 2 diabetes can be reversed. I mean, you have to educate yourself on it as first. Watch the videos that I have. But don't go with this narrative that these things are chronic and progressive. You know how the game goes. They give you metformin first. Then the metformin, it gets to the point where it's not working enough. Then they give you metformin twice a day, to the point where they give you 1,000 milligrams of metformin BI twice a day, to the point where they're giving you glypiride and metformin. That's going to get to a point where it's not going to be optimal. The blood sugar is going to be increasing. Then that's when they're going to tell you, all right, let's get you on insulin. You start off at 10 units, 20 units, 40 units, 60 units, and it just keeps going up. Yeah, so it's a sliding scale. But at what point do they make the recommendation of, let's deal with the problem, let's deal with the actual root of the problem, which is the food? But they have us in a trick bag believing that this is genetics. They have us in a trick bag believing that this is something that you're going to get regardless of what you eat. That couldn't be further from the truth. This is not something that just runs in our family. This is not just something that you're just going to get magically. The honest truth is, we actually earn a lot of these medical conditions. We actually earn a lot of these lifestyle conditions. All lifestyle conditions are earned. So we need to really step back and think about why we have such a negative connotation when it comes to fasting. You start saying fasting, people start saying starving. Fasting and starvation, two completely different things. Two completely different things. Y'all hold on real quick. It's getting hot in here. Fasting is a voluntary situation. Fasting is a voluntary abstinence from food. You're doing this on your own will. You can break your fast at any point. You can start back eating at any point. Starvation, on the other hand, is involuntary. Starvation is a forced abstinence of food. Starvation, people actually wish they could get access to food. Starvation is not a situation that person wants to be in. Two very different situations. One's voluntary, one's involuntary. Why are people confusing the two? It's very offensive to people who actually starve, people who are actually starving, to consider not eating for 3 hours as starving yourself is extremely insensitive. It's extremely insensitive. So we need to really think about where we're getting this information from. Is it really benefiting us? Has it been benefiting us? Look, unfortunately, I'm seeing the numbers on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, as far as our overall health status as a community, and it's getting worse. And the advice is still heading in the same direction. You got to eat more. You got to make sure you take this medication. You got to make sure you get this. Yeah. Move more. Yeah, you should move more. You should eat healthier. They have no idea what they're talking about if you were to ask them. But they're going to tell you got to eat more so you can rev up your metabolism. They're going to tell you got to eat more so you can balance your blood sugar. Look, we got organs that do that. One of the organs that does that is called your liver. You are not a liver, but you have a liver. You have organs that actually have functions. The idea that you should manually regulate your blood sugar with food is ridiculous. Allow your liver to do what the liver does. Allow your pancreas to do what the pancreas does. Allow your intestines to do what the intestines. Allow your body to do what the body does. Allow your hormones to do what the body does. So instead of listening to these gurus out here with the white coats and the degrees and the stethoscopes, listen to your body. Listen to your body. Check in with yourself. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, before I eat this bowl of oatmeal or granola or whatever it is, am I hungry? Am I really hungry? Because this denotes the fact that you understand that your body is intelligent. When you feel the feeling of hunger, that is a hormonal process. That hormonal process is done by a hormone called ghrelin. When we hear the word ghrelin, you think about the word growl. They say my stomach is growling. That's because of the hormone ghrelin. G-H-R-E-L-I-N. Ghrelin. That's ghrelin before ghrelin actually talks to you. Ghrelin has already spoken to the body. Ghrelin has went through the actual systems. They did checks and balances. They say, okay, look, we're a little low over here. We have a breakdown situation over here. We need to repair. We have this going on. Does anybody else need anything? Let's talk to the pituitary gland. Let's talk to the hypothalamus. Let's talk to the digestive system. Let's talk to the endocrine system. Let's talk to all those systems before we come to a conclusive, actual conclusive decision. Once that decision is made, we will now secrete the proper hormones. And so there's checks and balances going on. There's levels to this. It's not just a simple, I'm going to eat just because it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to eat just because my doctor told me I need to eat 6 times a day. I'm going to eat just because. No. Listen to your body. That is a hormonal process that is going on. And when you are ignoring your hormones, this is how you become resistant to the hormones. Anytime your hormones has to constantly tell you to do something or not to do something, and you're not listening, your body is going to develop a resistance to it, because your body has to, your hormonal system has to overcompensate with the actual secretion. So much so to those receptors have to now down-regulate, because on two parts, you're not listening to it and you're not allowing the actual cells in the hormonal system to do what it's designed to do. And so this is why I said you have to actually fast. Make everybody be quiet. Tell everybody, yo, stop. I don't want to hear anymore. The way you stop all of that noise, close your mouth. Stop eating for a little bit. 16 hours is not going to kill you. Stop eating. Drink water when you're doing the fast. But just stop eating. Stop eating is like turning off the Fox News, turn off the CNN, turn off the social media, turn off all the noise in the house, turning off all those things. I know y'all have those moments when you just want silence. You're like, all right, just everybody stop. Everybody stop. I need time alone. Your body is saying the same thing. Yo, stop the food, stop the drink, stop the smoke, stop the toxins. Stop. I need time alone. I need time to think. I need time to improve myself. I need time to read. I need time to relax. I need time to sit in the sun. I need time to breathe. Your body is never taking a breath. Your body's never taking a relaxation process if we're constantly feeding it, especially if you're constantly feeding it toxins. So, let me see these comments real quick. Yo, what's going on? I appreciate y'all being here. Yo, appreciate it, Martin. What's going on, Martin? Annette, what's going on? Patrice, what's going on, sis? Thank you. All right, you work for one of the top 10 food manufacturers in the world. The study each and every type A consumer, and every type, and there is a sales book on your buying habits. They know you are almost better than you do. From poor to rich. You're exactly right. So one of the books that I go through frequently is called sugar, salt, fat. I may have those kind of mixed up, but it's 3 terms: salt, sugar, fat, or sugar, salt, fat. It's a book written by Michael Moore. I may have the name wrong. But he goes through in this book, he's an investigative journalist. He goes through in this book and he talks about how it's not even about the food. It's about understanding the psychology of the people. You have different groups that respond differently to different stimulus. It's about trying to understand that and then designing a food that they're going to become addictive to. It's about creating an addiction. Everything from the actual color of the box to the amount. When you eat them chips, when you get that bag of chips, if you look at it, you got a bag, right? You see that 50% of that bag has chips. The other 50% only has air. When you open that bag, what happens? Poof! That scent gets spread around. That scent is designed to stimulate what we call appetite. Appetite is not truly hunger. Appetite is a desire for food, but it's not true hunger. And when you open that bag, that scent goes to you, and it goes to anybody who's sitting around you, and everybody's kind of like, yo, let me get some of that. Let me get some of that. What you got? What you got? Let me get some of that. Everything from the colors of the bags. So research shows that the color red and orange helps to stimulate appetite. Like I said, appetite is not true hunger. Appetite is just a desire for food. Appetite can be connected to emotions. And so when you look at the colors red and orange, such as McDonald's, maybe Wendy's, Jack in the Box, I don't even know. I mean, but you can see that there's a lot of food companies, a lot of bags that have that red and orange color that's predominant. And this helps to stimulate appetite. When you also think about the texture, like a lot of work goes into creating a chip. Everything from that sound of that crunchiness. And so when we look at like cartoons do it a lot, and people get scared. People get scared and anxious on cartoons, right? And what do they start doing? They start chewing on their nails and chipping their nails. That's because when you look back throughout history, we always saw that crunchiness was something that would calm the nerves. So crunchiness correlates with anxiety. And so a lot of times people get nervous or they have heightened anxiety, they reach for that bag of chips. So there is a science behind your appetite, your cravings, and your emotions. And if you don't know about it, they definitely know about it. They spend more money into psychology versus making the actual food. Like, making the actual food is probably like the smallest budget they have. Everything else is going on to studying people. Studying them, understanding their weaknesses, their desires, their struggles, and how can we capitalize on that and put that into a chip, or put that into a cookie, or put that into a marketing campaign. So, especially when we're talking about, like a lot of these foods are just us self-medicating, or us trying to self-medicate ourselves. Especially when we're talking about like the feeling of loneliness, sadness, depression, and us wanting to eat something sweet. So, and this is why I tell people, track your cravings. Those cravings are not benign. They're not there just because. Those cravings are actually stimulated by something, by an event, by a feeling, by an event that's about to happen. And so if you find yourself just reaching for a bag of donuts, just reaching for a bag of something sweet, reaching for some chocolate, reaching for whatever it is, you need to take time to actually analyze that moment. All right, what just happened? Like, I'm about to eat these donuts. I usually don't eat these donuts right now. Like, what's happening right now? How am I feeling? That's what we're not checking in with ourselves. And you're never going to have that time to check in with yourself if you're constantly being distracted and constantly doing all these other things. Once again, it's the same thing on a physiological level. You are never going to be able to check in with your body or optimize your body if you're constantly taking in distractions. This processed food, they're massive distractions. So before you go into that, so like that's another thing. I keep it real. Like, I understand people are going to have these cravings. You're going to have those things, and I'm not telling you just to outright cut it out. No, I want to actually get to the root of why you want these things, why you having these appetites. The only way we're going to get to it is by capturing that moment. Before you eat that donut, what just happened? What just happened? Did you and your boss just get into it? Did somebody just cut you off in traffic? Are you and your loved one having issues? Are you about to give a presentation? Like, what just happened? Like, we need to capture that moment and figure out what just happened. What happened historically to us? Like, historically I mean like within the past hour. What's going on right now? How are you feeling right now? Are you feeling lonely, sad, depressed? And what's about to happen? Are you about to walk into the house, or is your loved one about to walk into the house and they're abusive? Somebody just came into your presence that you have a lot of hatred for. Like, what just happened? Don't allow these things just to run randomly throughout you. Figure it out. The way you figure it out is by checking in with yourself. I'm not telling you to just cold turkey stop what you're eating. Do what you do, but at the same time, let's work towards bringing it down. And the way we're going to bring it down is by capturing that moment. You capture that moment, you write it down. Keep a food journal with you. I know a lot of people don't like to write down, but if you want to actually improve your overall health, we need to go through and we need to be detectives for ourselves. And so, capture that moment. Write down how you are feeling. Check in with yourself. And then you're going to start to see a correlation. You're going to start to see a correlation. You're going to see, oh, every time I feel nervous, I grab something crunchy. Oh, every time I feel lonely, I reach for the Twinkies. Oh, and so when you're able to actually answer that question or answer why you're having that cravings, now we can make a decision. Now we can come up with a plan. But without answering that question, it's like walking into a pitch black room, lights off, and you just getting hit from all different directions. You're getting tripped, you're getting slapped, you're getting punched, somebody's got you in a chokehold, somebody pulling your leg, you got somebody biting your ear, and you're trying to fight that. What are you fighting? You have no idea. If you don't know what you're fighting, all you're doing is just wasting energy. And by actually writing these things down, it's like turn the light switch on. Now you see, you in there fighting the octopus. That's how they pulling your legs and biting your ear and pulling your arms, because they got 8 arms. So now you know the situation. So by actually encapsulating that moment, writing down how you truly feel, what just happened, what's about to happen, and what's happening now, is how you're going to be able to actually defeat this craving. Because from there, you can now make the decision, do I want to change this? Or do I want to keep going in that direction? But without figuring out what's causing the actual craving or appetite, you're just going to keep going in that direction. You're going to try to do things like, I'm just going to stop eating it. I'm just going to stop eating it. Like Jay-Z said, there's only so long fake thugs can pretend. Like, there's only so long you can pretend that these cravings don't exist. Let's keep it real. The cravings are there. Cravings are there for a reason. Let's figure out what it is. The way you figure it out is by encapsulating it. So once you encapsulate it, you see it on the journal, you know what it is, you decide, do I want to change this and improve it, or do I want to keep going the same direction? If you want to keep going the same direction, then you go in the same direction. We're all adults. Our lives are completely our own, and you have the right to live life as you see fit, and that is your right. Don't let nobody tell you that's not your right. So I'm from both sides. I'm from whatever way you want to go. I'm from both sides. If you want to be unhealthy, if you want to continue to take medications, if you want to continue to be hustled, if you want to continue to be lied to and deceived, that is your right. Don't let nobody say that's not your right. That is your right. Same thing on the other side. If you are unhappy with the way your health has, gone, if you're unhealthy with the medications that you're taking, if you're happy with your overall situation as a whole, let's go this way and let's now break down what it is you're feeling. Do you have emotions and issues that you never dealt with, and you just had them? You just pretty much sweeping it under the rug. Do you have things that you need to actually fast from? Do you have people that you need to actually fast from? And that's another thing. We got to understand that fasting is not just food. Fasting is not just food at all. When you consume things, you're putting it in your mouth via food or drink is one way of consumption. But you also consume, when you look at things, when you watch things, that's a form of consumption. When you hear things, constantly hear, whether it be music or news, that's another form of consumption. When you have people around you, those people can have high energy levels, low energy levels, depending on the way they vibe, that's a form of consumption. So you're constantly consuming things. What you need to go through and do is look at the things that you're consuming. How healthy are these things for me? Are they adding to my overall improvement, or are they taking away from me? If you are talking to somebody You're at work and you notice that, yo, when this person comes into the room and we start talking and they leave, I feel drained. Well, that's your energy vampire. That is an energy vampire. That person just came in the room, bit you on the neck, and sucked out your energy, and now you feel like it was only 2 minutes, but you feel like you've been talking to them for like 3 days. And when they leave with your energy too, and you're like, whew, man, what just happened? And what happens? The same thing happens tomorrow. The same thing happens the day after that. The same thing happens the day after that. And so you have people in your lives who are actually energy vampires. What you do with those people, not everybody you're going to be able to just cut off cold turkey, right? Because some of these people might be, I don't know, they might be real close to you, right? So what you have to do is you have to, just the same way with food, you have to control them. You have to control their interaction with you. You have to control when they have access to you. Don't just give everybody access to you. You need to start having more meetings. That's one of the tips one of my business coach gave me, is that you need to have more meetings. You need to have more busy times. You need to have more moments where you tell people, like, I just can't do it right now. I'm busy. In other words, you need to have more me time. You need to be able to cut these people off. Once again, if they're not that important to your life, if they're not that important in your life, just straight up cut them off. You do a permanent fast from them. Other people who play a vital role in your life, like they have to be in your life, then you intermittent fast from them. You have periods where they have access to you, and you understand that in that moment, I need to control how much energy I'm putting out, but I need to also control how much energy I'm taking in from them. Because historically, they have shown me that when I interact with them, they take a lot from me, because I'm constantly trying to figure out their problem. What we don't know is that when you're consciously trying to figure out a problem, subconsciously, your body's taking, your subconscious mind is taking on a lot of those problems from them as yours. And so your body's talking about their problems, they're detoxing, and that detox is going into you. And so you're constantly taking on their problems. The next day goes, you already got your problems, right? You got your thing going on, but then they come in your life and they're giving you your problems. You're like, man, you got your problems. Next day comes, they're giving you your problems, and you got your problems, and you're giving these people solutions. You're telling them, like, yo, won't you try this? Won't they try that? And what happens? They never listen. They don't do it. They don't listen until something unfortunate happens to them. And then that's when they start to listen. All right. I don't know what just happened. So I'm going to kind of wait a little bit. Oh, man. So I think it's still recording. So I will continue to speak. Yeah, I need to. Woof. It's 8:30. I'm supposed to be at the convention at 9. I got a lot I got to do before I get to that convention. All right, so we back live. I apologize about that. So yeah, you have to fast from people. You have to put people. You have to, if people have to be in your life, certain people have to be in your life that you found they take more out of you than they put in you, then you need to intermittent fast from them. If they have to be in your life, then you have to put them in there. You have to put them in your position. You got to understand that you are the creator of your story. Like, you are writing this narrative. Like, this, you are the superstar. You are the main character in this story you call life. And if you are allowing people to make you treat your life as if you are this bystander, as if you are like, you're not even playing like a leading role in your life. You're just playing like the guy eating the bag of chips at the third table. Like, don't be that guy in your life. Be the main star. And so make sure you take control of the situation. Take control of your life. It's your life. It's yours. It's your story. You write it. Take control of it, and you tell that person, hey, listen, you do a lot of talking, you do a lot of complaining, but I give a lot of advice. I never see you implement anything. You say you're going to implement it, but you never do it. So what I'm going to have to do, this is going to be the best for me and you, is I'm going to have to pull myself out of the situation, because I can no longer just sit here and listen to you complain day after day, because it makes me feel some type of way, because I care about you. I want you to feel better. And so it drains on me not to see you doing better. Therefore, since you are not taking the advice that I'm giving you, I have to pull myself out of the situation, because that will help you realize that you actually need to walk on a different path. So I'm going to be helping you as well as helping me primarily, because if I can't help myself, I can't help anybody else. And so you have to put people in their place if you feel like they are an energy vampire. And like I said, these energy vampires might be people you actually love. Next, your visual consumption. Like, what are you watching? What are you watching on the screen? If you look up the term called neurocinematics is the study of what is seen on the screen, how that affects the actual psyche, how that affects you on a neurological level. What they found is that you can create a whole entire narrative in a person's mind or in a community's mind based on the images that you put on the screen and based on how much they resonate with it. So this is just a random example. I'm just pulling this out of the air. But if I knew a group of people who are the children of people who were once enslaved in this country and they went through 400 years of enslavement, and I wanted to keep them stagnant, I wanted to keep them in a perpetual cycle of running in circles, and I wanted them to constantly be emotional, what I would do is make sure that every single quarter I put out a movie, I put out some kind of large event that would resonate with them and make them tie back to their abuse, tie back to the rapings, the lynching, and keep them on the more emotional side versus the actual logical side. Because I understand that if they are acting more logical, that this would be a huge paradigm shift as far as the economics go, as far as health goes, as far as all of those things go. But if I can keep them emotional, everything they do as a whole, as a community, will be reactive. If I can keep that whole community reactive, they're not going to be progressive. They'll just be responding. And if all you're doing throughout life is responding to other people, you're no longer living your life. You're living somebody else's life. You're living, you pretty much gave that person 2 lives, 3 lives, 1,000,000 lives. How many other people it is, if you're constantly responding to a whole nother person, you have left your life. So you've died on that side. You died, you gave up your life, you gave up your will, and you are now living their lives because all you're doing is responding to their narrative. When you're responding to their narrative, you have now taken yourself out of being the lead character in your life, and you're now the person at the third table eating the bag of chips on their set. You don't even get a name. You don't even get a name on the credits. Like that's how they label you. In their credits on their story, you will be the third person at the third table eating the bag of chips in the back. You don't get no name, no nothing. So we have to stop being so engaged with the narrative that's being told to us on a constant basis. This is through the news, through media, social media as well. Because once again, if I can tell you a story that I know is going to resonate with you because you have some type of connection with the images seen on the screen. If you look like, if I show you images of people who look like you, walk like you, talk like you, live in the same area as you, historically they were you, and I show you them getting constantly battered and abused, getting mistreated, and I can constantly get you to focus on that, you will never focus on yourself. Once again, this brings it down to the fasting in the body. If I can get you to constantly focus on breaking down food all throughout the day, guess what? Your body never has time to optimize itself. This is almost the same. Well, this is the same thing as distractions. If I don't care how big and strong you are, I don't care how tough you are, I don't care how much money, I don't care all those things. I will defeat you if I can distract you. Yo, look over here. Bah! Oh, look over there. Bah! It doesn't matter. If I can distract you, it's a wrap for you because you're always responding to me. Look over here, response. Look over here, response. Look over here, bah. And so you're never really in control. They're literally just putting stuff in your face to make you respond over and over and over. And so we have to fast from the social media, the watching and the scrolling up and down. I'm doing this, scrolling up and down your Instagram feed, your Facebook feed, your Twitter feed, watching images of people who look like you, walk like you, talk like you, being killed on Facebook Live, fighting, pulling each other hair out, calling each other derogatory names. Like, just, you got to fast from all that, because if you think about it, at one time you probably felt incredibly bothered by these images. Now you can watch those images and it's almost entertainment. So this is the dehumanizing process that takes place. So we really got to think about what we're being fed, because that is a form of consumption, like I said, and you have to fast from that crap, because that's processed food in a visual form. The people who have the negative energy, who always want to complain and just bring you down, that's processed food in a human form or an energy level. Also, what are you listening to? Look, if you're not listening to things that are going to improve your overall situation, if you're not hearing stories of people being uplifting, people coming from nothing to something, people who have overcome great adversity, if you're not listening to things that will actually inspire you, if you're not listening to things that are actually going to ignite you, things that are actually going to lit that flame in you that you already have. You got to understand, we already have everything we need already within us, but you can never get to it if your body's constantly being distracted, and if you're constantly being distracted, if you're constantly just breaking down and digesting, if you're constantly just watching garbage or watching whatever it is and you're constantly being distracted, you never tap into the infinite potential. So it's the same thing with the things that you're listening. You cut off the narratives about whatever kind of housewife show. Cut off the narratives about whatever kind of, playoff or Super Bowl or, whatever's going on. Like, because what happens is, once again, your subconscious mind is just taking the information. Whether it's your real life or somebody else's real life, all I see is information. I see that I need to focus on the playoff. I need to focus on the stats of this running back. I need to focus on the quarterback rating or whatever it is. I need to focus on the fact that this quarterback may not play because they just got charged with the rape case. Oh, but I don't really think he did it. And so now you're like living out somebody's whole entire life on that side, or you're watching a housewife who husband is cheating on them and they just found out and they're waiting to expose them via, like, you're living out a whole nother lifestyle on that life. Once again, who's living your life? Who's living your life? Are you chips? Oh man, I keep shutting off. And so we really have to really think about that. Regain control of our lives. And once again, my main recommendation for people when they're starting out, regardless of whatever problem it is, you gotta fast. This could be fasting from people. This could be fasting from media, visual media. This can be fasting from the things that you're listening to. This can be fasting from food. So you got to figure out what's going to be the easiest thing for you to fast from and just get started on it. Now, I will warn you that fasting, if you do a complete fast, which is fasting from everything, food, people, environments, media, visual, so that's a complete fast from everything. When you go through one of those, you will have moments when you're extremely emotional, because like I said, it's 8:40, right? Yeah, they're gonna see me on this live stream and be like, yo, what's going on? Yeah, I gotta get out here. I ain't even earned yet. So yeah, that's my overall message. Anything you can't fast from, you are a slave to. You may not like that term, you may not like that statement, but think about it and show me where I'm wrong. If you can't fast from it, then it controls you. Real talk. If you can't fast from alcohol, then it controls you. If you can't fast from sex, then it controls you. If you can't fast from food, then it controls you. You name it. Just go down the list. If you can't say, I'm doing 24 hours without you. If you can't say that and actually do it, you have no control. It controls you. That means all I got to do, if I wanted to stifle your movement, all I got to do is just wave some food in front of you. All I got to do is just put sex or a beautiful female in front of you. All I got to do is put money in front of you. I just need to find out what your addiction is, and I will control you time after time after time after time. What's your addiction? What do you just love? Fasting cuts all of that out. Fasting says, man, your money doesn't motivate me. Yo, she beautiful, but I'm not going to allow that to stop my progression. Yo, that food smells good, but I'm Gucci. I'm good. I don't need it. Fasting is saying that I don't need none of that stuff. I got everything I need right here, and I can bring it back into my life when I see fit. That's control, and that's fasting. So, yo, I appreciate y'all being here. Let me read the comments real quick. I only get a little bit of comments. All right, so if you have any questions, please go ahead and comment. I'll try to get back to it. You know, I appreciate y'all being here. Please go ahead and share this video, especially because Thanksgiving is next week, right? Thanksgiving is next week, and it's gonna be interesting. You know, there's gonna be a nationwide itis happening, right? And you know, I'll get back on here and talk about that later. But please share the video. Please share the video. We got to get back in control of our health. And fasting is fasting is one of the most powerful things we can do, because it takes you out of the conversation that is going on, that people are constantly trying to put you in, as far as medications and overall health. And so when you just say, yo, instead of counting calories and instead of doing X, Y, Z, I'm just gonna fast. I'm just gonna not eat any food at all. And so fasting puts you back in power. All right, y'all, I really gotta go. I'm super duper late, and I gotta get ready. So I'm gonna holler at y'all later. All right, peace.